Hi there, welcome to another Noise interview. Today we talk to Tom Powell about 1978 and 1979.
Yeah,
Right, so we're going to have a look at, well, let's have a look at what's on my piece of paper. It says 1978 and 1979.
yeah,
I mean, those 2 years were quite big for me as a fan because we got to see it, see the whites of your eyes in smaller places
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
rather than going to big halls.
I'll
And,
tell you
and
what, that I had a great time going back to playing those small clubs.
yeah,
I really enjoyed it. It was like when we first started. Like you said, you could see people.
yeah,
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it was a great time.
yeah.
And yeah, like I said, I enjoy going back to the small clubs and playing that. It just brought back a lot of memories, sort of, when we first started, really good. Because we took all the gear in as well. It wasn't like we were like shortchanging people. We still taking everything in. And that was good. A good time. I really enjoyed that. And you mentioned here about without no chart entries and top of the pops. But the thing is, we always enjoyed playing live anyway, so we were just getting on with that. We just enjoying ourselves. Nothing was happening for us record wise, but we were still having a great time playing live.
Mm.
So that was it really.
Well, when you were talking about 77 last time, you said the pressure was off you a bit.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what it was really. I think, Ian, is like we had nothing to prove anymore, except that everywhere we went, we still took all the gear, and it was like we weren't shortchanging people. We're still taking all the gear in and
Oh
putting
yeah,
a proper
it
show
was
on.
it was a full show, no
Yeah,
doubt about that.
yeah,
One of the lads on the forum asked a question. He said, when Chaz founded Bine Records and he
yeah.
took Slade onto the label, uh, were the band involved with the details about the promotional supports that you had from the label?
That's a bit of a sort of one of those areas. You see, we just assumed because at first, when he formed Bard, it was being distributed by Polydor Records.
Yeah,
So we just assumed we would get the promotional support and things like that. You see, and yeah, but it was a bit lacking actually, and yeah, and there's a lot of criticism about that. That that's one thing that was missing. Like people really didn't know when we were releasing anything or what was going on. So yeah, it's a bit of a grey area that was, Ian.
yeah. I mean, this is a while before you parted with Chaz, but were there any grumblings going on about this at the time, or did it just you just said
Well,
right, well, this is how
we
it
were
is?
just going along with it at the time. We thought it would get sorted out, but it obviously wasn't, and there came a point where Polydor stopped really, pressing the records and being the distribution, for Barnes Records, and that's when Chaz went to Pinnacle,
Yeah,
but that comes later. But then, yeah. You got to think. I mean, he's got in about when we did Give Us a Goal. Oh, we made a great promotion video for that
yeah,
at the Brighton Football Club. We sort of it was really funny. I mean, we went down the day before and we played with the players. I mean, they kicked the shit out of us, but we had a great time with them. We had a really good laugh on the pitch, as you can see by the film. And then we
yeah,
stayed overnight, and then we sort of. The next day was a live game, but they intermingle us with what we'd done the day before with the live game sort of thing. But we had a great time. The players, were great to us on the day, on the day before when we was making the. I mean, they were killing themselves laughing, because we were useless, But it was really funny when I think. Nod was trying to take a penalty. I think it took him about 12 goals to try and take a penalty, and the goalie was on his back, lying on the floor. He was killing it. He was like one of those cabaret smash men. He was killing himself laughing.
yeah,
Not trying to take a kick at the goal. It was a good time, that was, Ian. It was a good few days, that was.
yeah. What did you think of the record? Give Us a Goal.
I quite enjoyed it, you know. I was thinking, but the only thing was, I think people thought it was a bit too gimmicky, you know what I mean? A bit too sort of, well, what they're doing. It's like, obviously because of the cup final, the World Cup or whatever, you know. I thought it was a bit cheesy, if you know what I mean. But I mean, I thought it was a good record actually.
Well, there's a number of good groups have done football records, isn't there? So,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
Status Quo had a #1 with Manchester United, didn't they?
yeah,
So,
yeah, you know.
and one of my favourite bands, Delamitri, they did "Don't Come Home Too Soon" for the Scottish football team,
Oh
the
right,
World
yeah,
Cup.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, it happens. But I always thought it was a great tune, and you could once it had done its football thing, I was surprised you never returned to that and put different words on it and had another go with it. But there you go.
No, yeah. Actually, I thought somebody mentioned that, but yeah, about rewriting it or something. But you just reminded me. But I can't remember what happened around about that time now. You know, because things were getting a bit despondent as well then. But when we went to Poland, I mean, actually, that was a good tour in Poland. We had a good time there. It was a good tour. There's a few things going on. I mean, our bloody hotel rooms are always being broken into and stuff being taken. You know, stuff being nicked. You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, there's a few hardships like that. But the actual concerts were really good. Quite a few open air ones. You know, and I remember. Do you remember the thing where we used to throw the toilet rolls out to the crowd?
Yeah.
But yeah, normally the thing was to throw them back and become like a big streamer party.
Mm.
But over there, they thought they were presents. We threw them out and they grabbed them, put them in their bags. Yeah, I mean, especially with the proper soft, like soft toilet rolls, that was like a luxury to them.
Yeah.
And they thought it was a present, and they grabbed them and put them in their bags. And that's what they thought. They thought we were giving them a present.
Well, go and see Slade and get some toilet rolls.
Yeah.
But I mean, the first part of the year, March, April, and May, you did a lot in Britain. You'd gone onto the clubs and university circuit, hadn't you?
Yeah, that's it. It's quite good actually. I mean, the universities were really, well, all that. Because when you think that's how we started, especially doing the clubs. Now, I really enjoyed it personally. I really enjoyed playing the clubs again. I thought it was a great time. I really enjoyed playing the clubs and like the smaller universities and things. It was really good because we didn't shortchange on the show or the equipment or anything like that. We still took the full production in, and I really enjoyed that particular period. I really enjoyed doing the clubs.
Yeah. I mean, around that time, I started taking my camera along. I mean, I gave you a copy of the book, the photo book from the shows.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to plug the book. I'm not going to waffle on about the book. But the great thing about that time for me was you could go into a place and you could take pictures.
Yeah.
And you could get good close-up pictures of the band, and it was just so different from in the early 70s when you were untouchable and you were just this thing on the telly.
There's no restrictions then, was there?
No, it was a lot easier. And I mean, you came to a local club near me, near Bolton.
Yeah.
And it was quite funny. It was one of these chicken in a basket places on some occasions. And I turned up in the afternoon and they said, "You can't come in, you've not got a tie." And they were going to go, "You need a suit and a tie to come in." Well, I hadn't got a tie. And about 50 people had turned up and they were holding them all back saying, you haven't got ties. And then they just turned around and said, "Oh, bugger it, let them in."
Yeah. I mean, ridiculous. I mean, sort of, was that around the time we were doing the Bailey's Club? That was 70, yeah, that was
Bailey's was end of the year, and then the next year you did them.
Right, yeah. But around that time, you got September, October, yeah, that's it. But before that, when we did the Polish tour, that was great. I really enjoyed that. It was about a 4-week tour. I mean, it was interesting being, if you like, sort of being involved with the communist situation, because it really was still pretty heavy then.
Yeah.
You know, and we had a university student who was our interpreter for that particular tour. He was being paid the equivalent of about a £5 a week, you know, and He was happy, but he had his hotel and food found. He was over the moon. And the
Yeah.
thing was, like I said, we had the full production with the crew and lighting crew and everything. And at the end of that tour, because the Polish slotties, they meant nothing outside of Poland. And with all the Polish slotties we had, we put them together. It was only coins. It worked out as about 30 quid. Just in coins, you know. And we used to call this guy George, you know, this interpreter. And we went to give him, he said, we might as well take them, George. And at first he wouldn't have them. He was too embarrassed. And we said, take them. He said, because, you know, we're gonna, we can't use them back in England. We can't exchange them. We'll just throw them away. So take them. And he was crying. I was in tears. He was sort of saying he could like live for about 6 weeks with this. You know, he couldn't believe it. Well, because it's the kind of things like that.
One of the things is, I mean, when you went around the world, when you go around the world, you know, I mean, there's so many different places, you know, that you go to, and you don't know how the other half live until you get there, do you?
No, you know, it's amazing. It makes you realise. I always said then, you know, always when I came back from places like that, I always just say, don't ever complain. Not from what I've seen or where we've been. I said, you would not believe it, you know. But I remember the first night in Poland was in Warsaw, and they had like a bit of an underground disco in the basement, and we went down there. And before we went down there, the Polish promoter gave us all money. That was our expenses. And of course, like, we went down and he was flying out of our hands like water going out of a tap, because they were just being ripped off. We didn't know. He was buying drinks, and in a way, sort of, we were sitting down. This girl came up and asked me to dance, you know. So we started dancing with her, you know, just on her. All of a sudden, she had a cigarette in her hand. She dropped it, you know, it slipped, and she went, oh no, and these bouncers grabbed her and they started hitting her and pushed her back to her seat and everything, and they grabbed me and they pushed me back to where I was sitting, and the promoter was there, and he said, please just sit quiet. He said, she did a very bad thing by dropping the cigarette on the polished floor. You know, I mean, it's just things like that were going on, you know, that we wouldn't, you know, otherwise we wouldn't take any notice of, you know. But anyway, come to the next morning, we said to the promoter, we need some more money. He said, what do you mean? He said, well, it all went last night, you know, we were just buying drinks. He said, well, what were you buying? We're just buying drink. He said, you earn what the average Pole earns in a month, in one night. Well, we're just being ripped off, basically, you know, sort of thing. And I mean, we soon learned, you know, after that night, we soon learned, you know, when he gave us some more money. But it was quite a good tour, actually. I enjoyed it. It was a bit of an eye opener. I mean, especially on the day off, we went to Auschwitz. I mean, I'm not glorifying it. I mean, I still find it difficult to think that no one knew it was there. It was like it was found by accident, apparently, by the Russians. I really can't believe that. I mean, no one saw the smoke coming up, you know, out the found, you know. No one saw the trains going in. I think really it was all in denial. You know, I think that's what it was, really. It was just in denial. You know, we don't know it's there. You know, we don't know. We're not going to say anything.
I mean, that's one of those things that I could never do. I could never go to a place like that. I just couldn't take it.
Well, the thing is, the word is that the camp itself is like really nothing in. It's like nothing there now. But I mean, they've got these museums. They've got these big museums. The front room, one room is full of hair, human hair, was shaved, and false teeth, and you know, things like that, false legs, you know, false limbs and things like that, children's toys. I still would never understand what it was all about. I mean, they were just doing experiments, like they'd take an arm off one guy and try and give another guy 3 arms, if you know what I mean. And things like that were going on, and I still find it hard to believe that no one knew it was there. Like I said, I think it was just in denial, basically.
When you got back, you went to Porthcawl in Wales, and
that's when yeah, I mean, that was unbelievable.
Nod got his beak bonked.
Yeah, well, what happened was, I mean, the crowd were going quite crazy down the front, and there's some bouncers down there, and this guy was hitting these kids, and so Nod stopped the show. I said, listen, we'll control the kids. You clear off out the way. And the guy was pointing his finger at Nod. I said, yeah, big boy, out the way. We'll look out. He was really laying into the kids, and we never thought anything of it. we went on, we carried on with the show. When we came off, we walked back, and that guy was waiting. And he said, "Oh, was that guy?" And he hit Nod. And I actually heard the crack of Nod's nose, and he went down. And some people from the club got this guy out pretty quickly, but the police came and I found out who it was. And he had a bit of a name for that kind of thing around, yeah, it was terrible. Like I said, I heard the crack when he hit him. Bloody horrible, really.
No,
But
for a
anyway.
singer especially. It's just.
Yeah. There's some nice photographs of me. See all the bells all smashed and everything.
The next 2 nights you played in Cleethorpes.
Yeah.
That's Slade, isn't it? The show must go on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We just carried on. It was all down to Nod really, but he seemed okay. It didn't seem to bother him so much, And then And then you can see now we got the Watford Baileys. We were sort of dreading them, but the same thing again. We took the full production in. We took all the the big PA and all that kind of thing, everything in. And I suppose it was a bit of a come down in a way, But it was but we kept the band afloat and we kept it going, it's not the kind of thing you would want to do all the time, but we just want to keep the band going, really.
I remember reading somewhere, it might have been Dave Kemp told me, when you played Leicester Baileys, I think the Jacksons came to see you, didn't they?
The Jacksons, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I think Michael was still black then, and he had the sort of the Negro nose, I think before. Yeah. But that was funny. That was, yeah. I remember when the Osmonds came to see us. They came to see us somewhere. Well, I think that was one of the London gigs, one of the big gigs in London. But they didn't stay till the end of the show. I think when Nod was swearing at the audience, and I don't think they could handle that. But actually came to the show with all the stage gear on, those Elvis Presley suits, as I call. They actually came to the show wearing those.
Oh, crikey.
No, they didn't stay till the end.
Yeah, you get some bands who they're always on, aren't they? They go around dressed up as rock stars all the time.
Oh yeah, it's like they never relax. They don't sort of. It's like they said they got to wear the stage clothes just for a normal night out, But there's quite a few bands like that. But it's funny. It was funny.
Yeah. October '78, you brought out Rock and Roll Bolero.
Yeah, good record that was, actually.
Yeah, I remember it coming out, and I remember you playing it because you used your Syndromes on it.
That's it, yeah.
How did you get on with Syndromes?
Sorry?
How did you get on with Syndromes?
Well, I don't know why. It's typical us. They were like the fashion thing at the moment, so we got them. I thought, oh God. And the only thing is they were so bloody unpredictable. You could set them and you wanted them, but they're sometimes on the night, either they wouldn't work or something had happened, or we got told to the wrong sound sort of thing, So they were very unpredictable, those things. So I was glad when we stopped using them.
Yeah, I used to play with a band, and our drummer had triggers on his kit.
Yeah,
and I play bass, and he'd get very annoyed because my bass would start triggering his drums.
Really?
Yeah, he got very upset about that. Very sorry, Ken.
Imagine. Yeah.
Then when he mic'd his kit up, the world was right again. So.
Yeah. Well, I started triggering the drums through I got a Linn drum. I could trigger the drums through the Linn drum, but you needed to have them gated really heavily.
Yeah.
So to stop, because sometimes if they weren't gated, I could hit the snare drum to sound like a tom-tom, or I could hit the tom-tom to sound like a snare drum. So they were very unpredictable. So you had to have them gated really heavily.
Yeah.
Great. If you could get the control right on them, because it helped a lot with with venues that weren't a very good sound. If the acoustics weren't that good, they were great for things like that, where you're always guaranteed you get a great drum sound.
The B-side of Rock and Roll Bolero was "It's All Right by Me."
Yeah, that's a good record there.
the playing on it is really disciplined. It's really, really, really tight.
Yeah, it is. It's good. I remember recording that. It was a great thing. It felt great while we were recording it here, and it felt like that when we recorded it. You knew you got something there. You know.
I saw you at Willow's in Salford, Willow's Club in Salford, and I was outside in the afternoon. And you were sound checking it, and you did it without vocals, and nobody had heard the song yet. And Dave were doing this guitar thing at the beginning, the riff, with that sort of thing at the end of it. And God knows how he did that. What a sound. That was great.
I can't remember that, Ian. I can't remember that. But now I remember it was a great. When we recorded it, I felt really good when we recorded that. It felt great recording it. Really good.
Hayden said it might. He told us the lyrics to it, and he said it might end up being a single, but it didn't.
Yeah, it was. I think it was leaning that way at the time because we hadn't really got much else. Because it was leaning that way to become a single, and that really felt good at the time. Like I said, when we recorded, it felt good.
Following that, one thing that somebody said on the forum, because there's quite a good few fan questions for this period. A lot of fans thought the B-sides of the singles around this time were better than the A-sides.
Yeah, I heard a lot around that time, Ian. Sort of thing. Well, I think you'll find a lot of the B-sides, even though the earlier stuff than that were quite good.
Well, yeah.
But Chaz always it was always like copying the Beatles type thing, where we wouldn't just put a throwaway track on the B-side like a lot of people used to do. We'd actually make it the B-side, a good thing as well. Like the Beatles did. The Beatles B-sides are always great, and that was like Chaz's policy as well. Never using just a throwaway track on the B-side. But like you said, a lot of people prefer the B-sides to the A-side sometimes.
Well, a good song is a good song, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
And these days, without physical records for some people, it's a
lot of people started doing it. It was like really bad. I mean, they release an A-side, have an A-side, but the B-side would just be the A-side without any vocals on.
Yeah, I've seen the odd time when they've done that.
Real cheating type thing. But that's what, like I said, that's what Chaz did. He wanted to copy what the Beatles did, because he said they always had great songs on the B-sides as well. He said, and that's what he wanted us to was doing for us as well, doing the same time kind of thing. So people got value for money. Quite
right.
Yeah.
Next thing up, we've got Slade Alive Volume 2.
Yeah. That was a good record as well, but for some reason it never really did that well.
Yeah, it's one of the baffling things, because another Slade Live album, it should have been a given, shouldn't it? It should have just gone.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that the first one, Slade Alive, would have been such a hard thing to follow, because that was such a massive album. Slade Alive, the first one, it was such a massive album, and whether doing this volume 2 was a bit of a come down, you know what I mean? Sort of, because I mean, like I said, Slade Alive was such a unique album that there was no way we was gonna top that, And I think so. In a way, maybe we hadn't got anything else at the time, Ian. I don't know, but like I said, Slade Alive was such a massive album to try and follow with another live album.
Yeah, but you would have thought that the press would have said, right, a Slade Live album, here we go, and said nice things about it. But I don't know, the press at the time, they weren't denying that you were a powerful live band, but they just wanted to stick the knife in, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it was around that time. I mean, I don't know what happened around that time. As if we definitely weren't in favour, and it's like anything, just like you said, to stick the knife in. It was strange. That was. It was like almost as if someone had gone on somewhere, and that it's almost like they really had it in for us for some reason.
But you see it happening to other bands as well.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I always have a little laugh to myself when I see it. I said, "Oh, we've been there. Don't worry, you'll come out of it."
Yeah, I mean, the like you got lambasted for going to America and for being glam rock or whatever they wanted to have a go at you for. Quo, they attacked Quo. They've attacked Quo viciously for years, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, even in America, the thing is with Quo in America, it was like taking coals to Newcastle, you know. And we did a couple of shows with Quo in America, and they said they'd done a few tours then. They said, there's no way we're coming back here, meaning to the States. He said, we're not going to lose the rest of the world for this place. And they never went back. That was in the sort of probably early to mid 70s, that was.
They played with ZZ Top with you, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, you might have gone on it too long, and Quo turned around and said, "Bugger this, we've had enough."
Yeah, I think that they did it right. We should have done the same thing, really. In my opinion, we should have done the same thing. It wasn't happening, it wasn't working, and we should have knocked it on the head a long time before we did. Oh, that's my opinion.
But we've all got hindsight now, haven't we?
Yeah, of course, you know.
So, Slade Alive Volume 2, I mean, the selection of tracks from it, there's some of the good oldies but goodies, as Noddy would have said. My Baby Left Me's on there, Take Me Back Home.
Yeah,
you had B on there, which was the standout track.
B was a great song to play live.
Yeah.
You know, it was great to play live, that was a great song. And One Eyed Jacks, that was a great song to play live as well.
Well, that stayed in the set for a while, didn't it, afterwards?
Yeah.
It was a really good song. I mean,
great,
looking at that album,
live.
It's just such a good lineup of songs.
Yeah, it is. But it didn't really do anything. I think really it was maybe it was a bit of a mistake. Maybe we hadn't got anything else at the time, you know. And
there's nothing wrong with it, though, is there?
Sorry?
There's nothing wrong with it. It's not a failing in any way. It's a great album.
I just think because the first one, Slade Alive, was such a hard one to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a hard one to follow, that blooming album. I mean, it was mega all over the world, except for America. I mean, Australia, when I went over there with Susie and Andy, people still talked about it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, still talking about it then.
Well, it was a career highlight, wasn't it?
Oh, blimey, when we got there, I think I told you, when we got off the plane on the first tour, there was all these TV cameras there, and we were looking, well, who's on the plane? Well, who was on the plane? And they were all waiting for us. I mean, Slade Alive was the biggest thing there. It even outsold Sergeant Pepper.
Yeah.
You know, and when we got there, we had a triple gold award for Slade Alive, and it went gold another 3 times after that. You know, but it was just, that's all you ever heard on the radio. That it was Slade Alive. Every program was playing Slade Alive. Because I remember it was on the tour bus, and then you hear Quo, you know, because we were on that tour with Quo. And you hear, oh no, not you lot again. It was just like a standing joke. It was all the time it was on.
Well, it's a damn good record. So. Yeah. You finished the year off with more UK dates. I mean, you worked yourselves like dogs, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. We never stopped. We just wanted to keep the band going. We'd keep the crew going, all that kind of thing. So we just carried on touring. We just toured non-stop, really. Mm. And like I said, and according to this year, the only thing that was, I suppose, when in beginning of '79, when we played the Baileys clubs, that was a bit of a so-so. But it meant we could keep the band going.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You got to keep on working. You got to keep on working. That's what it's all about.
That's what it was. I mean, it was great because I mean that was where the 2 phrases came. One was the happy car and the hospital car. And I don't really know about that. The car that me and Nod was in was the happy car, because Willie, who was my roadie then, he was staying with me when I lived in London. He was staying, and like we especially Bailey's, Watford, and Leicester, we would pick Nod up because he lived in Chelsea then. Pick Nod up, and then we would drive to Watford, and then we'd drive back and we'd stop and have a drink somewhere on the way back. Whereas like H and Jim just wanted to go straight home. Now they wouldn't do anything, they wouldn't go anywhere. Nobody ever wanted to drive their car. And that's what they called it the hospital car. You know, so ours was the happy car and theirs was the hospital car.
Well, I mean, they were married, weren't they?
Yeah, they weren't that. They were just off straight. They just wanted to go straight home. But,
and
you know,
they'd started having kids as well, hadn't they? As well,
that's
so
it. They didn't want to relax after a game. Me and Dad always wanted to relax, so we did that. It was really good, you know. Then me and Willie, when we dropped Nod off, we go to this drinking place that was on till 6 in the morning on the Finchley Road. You know, so we'd be there till 6 o'clock, and then we'd sleep because we didn't have to leave because there's no real sense. We didn't have to be there till 9 o'clock because we wouldn't go on stage till 10 or half 10. You know, so you know, it was a bit of a sort of not really our kind of scene, but it meant we could keep the band going.
Yeah, it's a different life being in a band, isn't it? You don't keep office hours in a band, do you?
No. So we could, yeah, like I said, we could keep the crew on and keep the band going.
So in '79, you did another run of Baileys and the universities, and you managed to get the Civic Hall in there as well. I mean,
I didn't realise that. Was that the one with Def Leppard? Did you put?
Def Leppard was.
Was that another time?
Def Leppard was in October.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, and then we got where are we now? So,
well, the next thing you did, you went to Germany, Austria, and Yugoslavia. So you've seen a bit of the world.
Yugoslavia was great. We only did a couple of shows in Yugoslavia. I remember. I used to be up pretty early, and Swin used to be travelling with the promoter in advance to make sure everything was all right. And because I was up early, I said, "I'll come with you." You know, save me sitting around here till God knows what time, lunchtime. So I used to go with the promoter and Swin, and it was great. I remember the one time we were making good time. So we was by this lakeside. There's a restaurant over the lake and all that kind of stuff. We stopped there, and you could sort of lean over and choose your fish. They get it, smack it on the head, and then put it in the pan for you. But that was all right. That was. It seems funny when you think of Yugoslavia now, what's gone on there, and you think when we toured there, there's no way you would ever think, you know, that something like that would happen over there, and over the problems.
Yeah, I went on a honeymoon there once.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next thing we did was you
got Ginny, right?
Yeah, Ginny and Dizzy Mama.
Yeah. I was like, was it you who put? I thought you thought it was a cracking track. Was that you, Ian?
Right. One of the guys on the forum said they thought it was a cracking track. DLT had it as a record of the week.
Yeah, I don't remember that, him having his record of the week, but it was all right. But I don't think we got any. I quite like Dizzy Mama. Dizzy Mama was a good song to play.
That was outstanding, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a good song to play, that was. Ginny was all right. It was, you know, there's nothing outstanding about it, you know, but maybe we didn't have anything else at the time, you know, but there you go.
The thing about Ginny was when you played it live, it had a lot more guts than the record.
Yes. But that usually find that a lot though with certain records, certain things, you know, that you're a bit more open when you're sort of doing it live than say when you recorded it, sort of thing. It's sort of you're a bit more loose, you know, when you're sort of doing it live. They got the next one. I got May and Junior here when Quaffers Club in Stockport. I don't remember that. I was called off. Was that because of Nod's broken nose?
Well,
oh no, the right. That's weird.
That's a question somebody's put up saying they seem to remember trying to get tickets for Quaffers in Bredbury near Stockport, and a story came out that your rider was so outrageous.
Yeah, that is weird, and we were never like that. Yeah, we were never like that. I really don't know where that came from. You know, all we ever had, we used to have like a bottle of vodka for me and Nod, you know, and H and Jim, who never drank, but they always used to sneak the whiskey. But we were never over with our riders. We were never over the top. We never wanted anything really. So that was a weird one to us. That was, where did that come from? Like the demands for the booze. So that's a weird one. That I never got to the bottom of that one, Ian.
Yeah.
Because to what some bands want, sort of. I don't know that I told you when we toured the States with Aerosmith once. And on their rider, they wanted this special spring water from the streams of Colorado, right? Now,
Right.
to me, water's water, right?
Yeah.
And because it wasn't water from the streams of Colorado, they weren't going to play. They were going to blow the gig because the spring water wasn't the right one. And I remember that I was standing around backside. I couldn't believe it. The promoter came round backside, got Steve Tyler, the singer, by the neck up the wall and threatened to stick one on him. And he says, "On that stage," and he went.
One thing about riders, one of my favourite bands is a band called Cheap Trick. I'm sure you've heard of them.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I love that band.
Right.
Their singer, Robin Zander, who's got like one of the best voices in rock, he just wants a jar of honey on the rider, a certain type. And he says, any honey will do. Well, I just want to see if they've read it.
Great.
He doesn't kick up and cancel shows if they don't provide it,
Well, I'll tell you what. When Paul McCartney played he's when he's married to the one with the one leg, sort of thing. And she had a rider sent through. She wanted this special room done out, right? Because she was going to be there. Special room done out in certain colours, special colours. Certain kind of furniture with covered with certain kind of fabrics, certain kind of food, all this, the blah blah. And I knew the promoter George, and he said he did it, and he said it cost him a fortune to do all this, and she never came. she never turned up. She never, unbelievable. And I remember, what was it? Like I said, it was Aerosmith who wanted this special spring water from Colorado. You know what I mean? So water's water, right?
Water is water.
Yeah.
Next thing we've got is Return to Base.
Yeah, actually, that was quite a good album to make, and there's some good stuff on that as well.
Yeah, it's not like other Slade albums.
No.
I mean, you've got Wheels Ain't Coming Down, which is a story song.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to say what that song's like. It's not like any other song, is it?
Not really. It was a bit different for us. That was, and but I remember it was good to play on stage. When we used to play it on stage, it was good to play on stage. And I quite liked Hold On to Your Hat, but we never played that on stage. But if I remember right, we never played any of them on stage. We played Let Me Love You Too. Yeah, we did that for a while.
Yeah.
And we did Ginny because I had those bloody horrible syndrome things.
Yeah.
On it, that used to drive me nuts, that. But yeah.
I'm a Rocker got a few goes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we used to do that. That was because I mean that in the studio, that was the first take. That was just one take. That was.
Yeah.
We just played it. I mean, not actually playing guitar and that and sang them. We were just it was just one take. That was, Ian.
But what a good track it is as well.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant.
It moves along great, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, things like Don't Waste Your Time.
Yeah.
That was so different as well.
Yeah. It's it's weird, some of that. I don't know. It was one of I don't know how can I say. It's one of the albums. I don't think we were really into it all the way, really. It sort of it just seemed a bit of not a throwaway. That's the wrong thing to say, but it just sort of it never really struck me as anything particular. Right? I mean, I'm being honest, personally honest now. It never really struck me with anything like this is the bee's knees sort of thing. It never, never. There's some good things on there, but it was all right, And you got it about being called the good, bad, and the ugly. I seem to remember something about that as well. But I think people were trying to work out who was the good, who was the bad, and who was the ugly.
Well, you wouldn't have worked it out from the cover because nobody was on it.
No, I know. It was just a red cover, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the going back to basics thing and a red cover. I can understand that, but a bit of me thought at the time, why is Slade on this album cover? You know, did you think you were cursed if you had your faces on an album cover or something?
I don't know, because I mean, Chaz was always wanting same again, taking the leaf out of the Beatles book. They always had their faces on the album covers,
Except the White Album.
except for the white one, yeah. And then everybody had any names on that. But yeah, and like you got this thing, Rock and Roll Bolero, that was all right. Those bloody horrible syndromes again, you know. And you said about once that because I've been rejected. I vaguely remember something about that, but I don't know how far that actually got, you know. But
well, it was a working title, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know where I don't know where it came. I've been rejected. I don't know, but that don't appear in the song, does it? That line doesn't appear in the song.
Well, lyrics get changed, don't they?
Yeah, but I mean, it could have been. But I mean, yeah, but yeah.
So when you put Sign of the Times out,
that's a weird one. I really don't understand why that was released. Not Tonight Josephine was quite a good track.
Yeah.
But that was a good track. But I don't know how come, sorry, excuse me. I don't know how it came about with Sign of the Times. I really don't know. That's a weird one. I'm lost on that one, Ian.
Yeah.
You know.
I
But then again, you got this guy saying he had difficulty getting the single, but that was around the time because that was on Barn, right?
Yeah.
And Polydor stopped distributing Barn. He went to this company called Pinnacle.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're not all, yeah, they're all right, but I mean, sort of like they'll only do what they need to start with. They'll only, you know, because I remember we were doing some tours of shops. You know, me and Nod would go around in H&M doing some like promotion tours of shops, and a lot of them said, well, they couldn't get the records. I mean, they're all blaming Pinnacle. I mean, I don't know, you know, but you can go on forever like that. But to me, it wasn't like a mega company, so I think that they'd be wary about how many they printed up, sort of thing.
Possibly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Not Tonight Josephine. I mean, what a sprightly track. Doesn't it
Great,
bounce along?
track. That was a great track to record as well. That was. I remember doing that. It was a great track to record. That, you know.
Yeah. I mean, when you listen to it at the side of Sign of the Times, I mean, Sign of the Times, obviously Chaz would have thought single. But if you listen to Not Tonight Josephine, it walks all over it, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's no comparison, is there?
No, it's
No.
night and day, isn't it, the two?
Yeah. And then we got the next one, the Okie Kokie. I think the less said about that, the better.
Well, Nod, when we had the chance to talk to Nod recently, which was really nice, it was very good.
I saw it, really good. It made me really happy he did it, and he was quite open, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was lovely. He really seemed to enjoy it. And, you know, it was nice of Susan to sort it for us. He said that the track was originally commissioned by Polydor to go to make a seasonal EP up. You know,
I don't remember that. I don't want the Okie Kokie.
Yeah. They wanted another track to stick out with Merry Christmas, Everybody, according to Nod. So.
Oh, okay. I mean, possibly, but I don't know. I mean, it was just something we used to throw away on stage as a joke, really. But I don't know. I don't know about that. But I'll tell you what, I always remember the classic with Alan James, who was our song plugger at the time. He was going round and he was dreading taking the Okie Kokie to the BBC to see if they'll play it. And he said he was taking records and he had Foreigners, you know, I Want to Know What Love Is. And he had another one. And he said, I've got this one by Foreigners and I've got the Okie Kokie by Slade. I mean, you can imagine the reaction to that, you know. I mean, that was not a good career move, should I say, that one. But I mean, we're all behind it. I mean, Ian, it's like...
When we were talking to Nod, he says he couldn't remember if Jim even played on it because the story went that when Jim got the call, about going down to the studio to record the Okie Kokie. He was chumming away about it, and he wasn't very keen. And I think he was told, well, if you don't come, we'll do it without you.
I'm sure he was there. I don't remember Jim not being there, to tell the truth. I stand corrected on that one, Ian, but I seem to remember he was there.
Right. I mean, the thing with the Okie Kokie as well, I mean, we'll get away from it in a minute. I mean, it came out later on one of the Reading EPs.
Yeah.
And it came out on Speed later on, and it came out as a picture disc and various things. But the one place it really made sense on Crackers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have to say, even though it's not a record I'll play, I played it at the time, try and get my head around it, but I'll say the thing about it is that it's a brilliant recording.
Yeah.
You can't fault it. It is brilliant. But it's just, why was Slade doing the Okie Kokie? But not to explain why he recorded it. So
we obviously hadn't got anything else. I mean, you know, it's pretty straight in the barrel, really, when you think.
Well, the thing is, you try stuff, don't you? I mean, there was a reason for it being recorded, and you tried.
I mean, we hadn't got anything really, Ian, and we just, I mean, it was a good laugh. I mean, it was always a good laugh when we played it on stage. It was like a party thing, you know, I mean, but, you know, come on, you know, anyway. We all agreed to it anyway, so that was it, you know. I don't remember the Snowmen doing Okie Kokie.
The Snowmen sounded suspiciously like Ian Jury.
Oh, right. It could have possibly been. You don't know.
Well, he always said it wasn't, but it could have been. It sounded like it could have been him.
Okay.
The other last couple of questions, really. Were you recording anything outside Slade in 78, 79 yourself? Were you doing anything with anybody else?
Sessions. I'm trying to think now. Was that one? Was that when I was with Steve McNerney, who was with the Pleasers? You know, there was a group called the Pleasers. They were like a Beatles thing. Was that around that time? Because Steve came to see us a few times at the Music Machine or places, and the Pleasers were broken up, and he was doing some solo stuff, and he asked me to play drums on them, which I did. It was at EMI, Manchester Square. And we had a good few days in there doing so. It was his material, it was his original stuff, you know. He's quite good there because the guy from EMI was really impressed, and he wanted me to do quite a bit of sessions for him.
Brilliant.
He wanted me to do quite a lot of drum sessions for him. But I never had the time, and I don't know what happened there, you know. But yeah, that could have been quite interesting, actually.
So has this stuff never surfaced anywhere?
No, it never happened. I mean, it just got a trial thing with AMI, but nothing ever happened to it. I must ask him. I've just made contact with him again, Steve. So I must ask him what happened about those sessions from AMI, because it was a good few days, actually, and they were well up for it, AMI. Like I said, the guy wanted me to do quite a bit of recordings for them, you know, do some session work for them, but nothing ever happened. So yeah.
Then somebody asks what the atmosphere was like in the band at this point. I mean, we've
gone
over that a bit, but
we were all right. I mean, we really had nothing going for us. I mean, we just sort of we weren't really doing a lot. I mean, we never really saw each other really. I mean, occasionally I was living in London then, and occasionally when Nod was down there as well, and occasionally we'd meet up together and go out on you know, on the night sort of thing, or meet somewhere in the wine bar or whatever, that kind of thing. But there's nothing really happening, you know, before, because that was before the Reading thing and all that kind of thing. You know, we hadn't really got anything going for us, Ian. You know, really, it's quite sad, really.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing that happened that year, and you were involved in it, was Jim brought a record out on the Cheapskate label called
when the lights
a version of When the Lights Are Out.
Yeah.
You ended up playing tambourine on the finished track.
Yeah. But I mean, it was. I mean, there was. I mean, it had quite a good, quite some good reaction. Jim's, some Jim's recording that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I just went along. I was at the studio one day, and he just said, "Stick around. I might want you to, do something like that." So I just did that, because I got nothing on, So I've just been moseying around London, all that kind of thing. I went to the studio because I knew him and Frank were in there. So I just went in and he asked me to do tambourine on it,
Yeah. Speaking of Frank Lee, when he covered for you, when you'd had your accident.
Yeah, in the Isle of Man.
Yeah. Not much has come out about what Frank Lee did as a drummer, apart from that, back in the day.
I don't, before that or after?
Well, either.
Well, but I don't think nothing ever happened really. I mean, no, that was it. That's all he ever did. He did. I think it was 2 shows. Was it 2 shows at the Isle of Man?
Yeah. I was just wondering if you knew anything about him playing drums in bands or anything.
No, I don't think. All he did, he joined us. He had a small part in the what they call Slack Alice.
Right.
And but nothing ever happened there because I know they used to rehearse when I was living in London. They come and rehearsed in my flat a few times, but just only acoustically. But nothing ever happened. He never did any gigs with them, and that was it basically.
Right.
And actually, the guitarist for Slack Alice joined Dire Straits for a while.
Right.
He was in Dire Straits for a while, the second guitarist, but I don't know how long he lasted. He's an American guy. I think he might have gone back to America. I don't know.
Right. Well, that finishes 1979 off, really.
Yeah.
We've had a nice long session. Zoom haven't cut us off.
Yeah, that was good. Actually, I've never thought of that. That was quite good, yeah. But no, it's. I mean, the thing is like I forgot because we were still pretty active sometimes. So okay, we were doing like the Bailey's clubs and things like that, just basically to keep the group going. You know, really, and yeah. But,
well, there's a feeling, isn't there? A gig's a gig.
Yeah. I mean that's how we didn't treat it like that. We took all our big PA in and we took all the lights in and took everything. I mean, we didn't sort of cheapen the show just because of what it was. So yeah. And we got home every night pretty late. So yeah, I sort of got changed and got in the car and went home. But yeah, it's not the kind of thing I like to do all the time. It was all right. It was all right then, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
So when you look back at like 78 and 79 now, when you think back to then, when you were gigging the clubs and universities a lot, is that a period you're quite fond of?
Yes. I mean, I love playing the clubs and universities. They're not so big. No, they're not so big places. I always find great because there's more of an atmosphere. And you can see people.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it. Sort of a better atmosphere, and like you can actually see people's faces.
Yeah. I mean, one of the places I went watching you at, because there were one year I saw you 15 times. I think it was 79, and there were one that year, and I think it was Barbarella's in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And you had the smallest stage in the world.
Yeah.
All your gear was still in. And you had this postage stamp of a stage, and you're at the loudest thing possible, and the audience were there, up to your face.
Yeah.
And I got some photographs that night of Nod leaning down into the crowd, and the crowd are there with the band like that.
Right, just like the early days, right in front of us.
Yeah,
right
it was just. Yeah. They were just such a pleasure to go to those gigs.
Yeah, it was good. That was good. It's always been a great club, that anyway. And now that's what we were doing. But we still we were having a great time because it reminded us here when we first started. The kind of things we did when we first started, and when we started to get a bit of a name for ourselves before any success. And we like selling places out like that. That's all we could play then was like the small clubs. And we were selling places out, and it was great atmosphere around.
One thing that was on the list, we did touch on it earlier. You did Wolves Civic, and Def Leppard was supporting you.
Yeah.
I remember watching Def Leppard when they were on, and it was the original lineup of the band. You know, they were all kids then.
Yeah.
And they, I was walking around with my camera, and I went up on the balconies, and I went round the back end of the balcony upstairs,
Yeah.
and they were stood there watching you. And I walked past them and I said, "Nice set, lads," you know, and they went, "Ugh," and started watching you lot again. And then the next year, this is jumping ahead a little bit, but they were on at Reading, and they would have been under you on the bill, and they said, "We want to go up the bill."
That's
we
it.
want, and I believe the word from you was, "We'll just play, you know, if they want to go on after us, let them." And then they died.
That's what it was. They said, "Oh, we're not going on before Slade. We're bigger than Slade." And we said, "Well," and the promoter said to us, "We said, we don't care. We ain't bothered. It doesn't worry us, you know." And so we went on, and they had to follow us. And I mean, they actually, I mean, I don't know who it was, but there's a single. One of them said it was the worst thing we ever did. It was actually going after Slade at Reading. He actually admitted it here, and whoever it was, one of the bands said it was the worst thing we ever did. He said we had to follow Slade at Reading. I think what they made a silly mistake. I think I didn't hear it, but somebody said when they walked on, I think the singer said, "Now for some real rock and roll," and I think that they got cans thrown at them, you know.
Well, yeah.
So, you know, I mean, silly boy. I mean, you know, silly boy to say things like that, you know. But anyway, but I think and they actually admitted. I think I saw an interview. It was a few weeks later that said the worst thing we ever did was follow Slade at Reading. They put on an incredible show. We had to go on after it.
Joe Elliott, the singer with Def Leppard, is quite fond of Slade. I mean, they've recorded a version of "How Does It Feel?" So it was on the B-side of one of the singles. So it wasn't a very great version, but never mind.
Okay.
Right. Anyway, thanks very much for that, Dan. We've done 78 and 79.
I don't know what happened to Chris, but anyway.
Whatever happened to Chris, I'll find out.
Yeah, but that was a nice one, Ian.
Lovely.
Okay,
okay, I shall stop recording now.